Hello, hello. Happy to meet you at our second webinar of the Power Sourcing series. Please write in chat, hello, where are you from? I'm super happy to see you. So last week we started our journey, and you know what? More than 1,000 people watched the first session. We are only at the beginning of our sprint and believe today we will rise even higher bar. So I'm thrilled to introduce our second guest speaker, Sophie Okonkwo, to the stage. Hi, Sophie.
Hello,
Happy
Dima.
happy that you found time to join us today.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, so great that you will share today your knowledge. And I know you work at Microsoft. Maybe you can answer the question that worries me the most today, like, will ChatGPT steal my job?
Of course not, Dima. Of course not. ChatGPT is a tool that would literally, enhance workflow, optimize our performances, optimize a lot of things that we do in our day-to-day lives. So it's not stealing anyone's job. It's just making it better. I hope that helps you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
it definitely helps and even scary sometimes how powerful it is. Yeah, cool. Thank you. So, yeah, before we start, all people in chat, please make sure you follow Mature YouTube, LinkedIn, and subscribes to our monthly newsletter. If not, you can 1 minute just to fix it right now. All the links are in the description. And yeah, without further ado, let's welcome Sophie on the stage.
Hi, everyone. So good to be here again. Thank you for joining this session. You could have been doing something else with your time, but you chose to be here today. I do not take this for granted. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Sophie Okonkwo. Please call me Sophie. I am a senior talent sourcer, and I work at Microsoft. And I will be sharing with you 6 must-know tips on how to become a strategic talent sourcing expert in 2023 and beyond. So, literally showing you how to scale your career as a sourcer more strategically. Now, before I go into the crux of today's webinar, I think it would be great to have a bit of an introduction about myself for people who have never seen me, never heard of me, never met me before. Very quick introduction. This is me. I'm Sophie again. And aside the fact that I do a lot of talent sourcing and talent recruiting, I'm very, very, very passionate about community building, and that led me to found my own, or set up my own community called TRA, which is Technical Recruiters Africa. So it's a community of technical talents, like technical recruiters, technical sourcers. We learn from one another. We help to hire technical talents in the Africa region, and we just coach and mentor one another. Now, you see the number 9 years on the screen. That indicates my ninth year in my career. So this month is February. We're in 2023. And I remember when I first kickstarted my career, it was February of 2014. So this month marks my ninth year in career. I'm having a career anniversary. So please celebrate with me. On the screen, on the bottom left on the screen, you will see where it states middle kid. That's me right there. I'm your typical middle kid, and you know what they say about middle children. We are strong, we are bold, we are smart, we are tenacious, we know what we want out of life, and we go get it. And the image on the top left on this screen is one of a stage. And that sort of describes my life. I love to be on the stage. I love to talk. I love to share knowledge, be it physical stage or on a virtual stage like this. I love to genuinely impact people with whatever information that I have. So, in a nutshell, that is me, and I am so, so happy to be here today talking about scaling and becoming a strategic sourcer, and of course, sharing with you some tips on how to be that. Now, quick agenda. I have 3 things I'm going to be sharing with you today. That means that I'm just going to cut to the chase, right? I'll be talking about the many hats of a talent sourcer, or the octopus hands that we share in the course of our career. I'll be sharing with you or talking about a bit of an understanding on what strategic sourcing is. And finally, I'll be wrapping it up with sharing with you the 6 strategic sourcing tips that you must know. So stay with me, don't go anywhere. I hope you'll be able to learn a thing or two from today's session. Now, if you look at my screen here, you would see that it has a man leaning on the wall with multiple sticky notes on his face, chest, on the wall, etc. And that looks to me like somebody who has a lot going on. He wears multiple hats. He's doing so much, a lot. To some degree, that sort of describes the way a talent sourcer is. However, a lot of people don't see it this way. Now, a lot of people, I don't know if you've probably heard in the course of your career where people refer to talent sourcers as entry level or early in career professionals. That's wrong. It's not always the case. And that's because oftentimes, I don't blame some of them who think this way, because oftentimes as talent sourcers, we think that the crux of our job is to just, run on a hamster's wheel. In other words, we just go into the market, find the talent, bring them into the talent pool, go back again, bring them to the talent pool, and just keep recycling that process. If you ask me, that is who a delivery sourcer is. You just go in, bring this candidate into your pool, and then you deliver the talents. That's it. But now, what we're teaching today is how you can move from just being a delivery sourcer to being a lot more strategic in your role. Okay, I'm going to engage everyone today in this webinar series. I like to engage. I don't like to talk alone. I like to communicate with people in the chat. Okay. So now, aside the fact that a talent sourcer is a talent scout, which is we go out there, we go to identify talents, we engage them, and of course we attract them. We identify, we attract, and then we engage. Aside that whole cycle, which is of course talent scouting, what else in your description, or how else would you describe a talent sourcer? I'm going to be looking at the chat box. I would like to hear some of your opinion. I want to know how you describe a talent sourcer in one word or in 2 words, however it is that you want to describe it. And please feel free, if you want to coin your own words to describe what a talent sourcer does, feel free to do so. Please, let's engage. I'm looking at the chat box right now. Let me see your comments. In your word, what does a talent sourcer do? So aside the word talent scout, how else would you describe a talent sourcer? Relationship builder, fantastic. First representative of the company. I love this, Julian. Lian, yes. Marketing manager, fantastic. Let's keep coming. I want to see more. I want to see more. Tell me more. Detective, TS builds the database, yes. Hard role fillers, I love these. Brand ambassador, you're spot on. Employment brand ambassador, yes. Researches market, researcher. Fantastic. You guys are correct. Gosh, gosh, gosh. I have so many smart people in the house today. Let me show you what I have put down today, and I'm sure you would agree with me. All right. First, a talent sourcer is a researcher. I saw a researcher on that chat box. You're absolutely correct. Why is a talent sourcer a researcher? Before you go on to start to hire or to identify your talents, you need to research the market. You need to know what the talent market landscape is. You need to run your market intelligence. So a talent sourcer is a researcher. A talent sourcer is a data analyst. A typical strategic talent sourcer is all about numbers. We are constantly measuring our matrices. How many candidates did I source? How many from the source candidates responded to me? How many from those who responded to me, accepted to take interviews? How many, we keep on measuring matrices. And then for some other talent sources that are very great at scraping data from the internet, we do a lot of scraping and we need to clean up the data to analyze it, etc. A talent sourcer is also a data analyst. We are interviewers. We screen candidates. We interview candidates to ensure that they're a good fit for our organization, right? We are social media gurus. We see so many talent sources today that tell you they source on YouTube, some source on Twitter, some people source on TikTok. Heck, I have gotten a candidate through Instagram before. He was a Ruby software engineer. I got that candidate through Instagram. We are social media gurus. A talent society tools enthusiast. We are constantly looking for the next tool, where we can hire the best talent, where we can optimize our process. We are always looking for the next tool. What tool is there that I can find more diverse talents, etc. That is the mind of a talent sourcer. We are tools enthusiasts. We are talent advisors. We are the ones constantly advising the business on processes, on how to scale our operations, on what the market looks like. We are advising the different cross-functional teams. From a compensation aspect, you're telling HR what the market looks like. You are constantly advising the business. That's who a talent sourcer is. We are sales experts. We are always selling. We are selling the role to our candidates. We are telling a story about the company. We are storytellers. Compensation intelligence. Every time you source candidates and you're engaging them in the interview process or the first point of call, which is the sourcer screen, you find that to some degree you would discuss compensation. Some candidates from your outreach messaging, if you message them on LinkedIn or wherever platform you source your candidates from, you would find that as you outreach message them, the next response they're asking you is, what's the salary? Some people want to know ASAP. So you are a compensation intelligence specialist. You are a negotiator. You're constantly negotiating with your candidates. Some people don't want to interview next week. Some want to interview 3 months' time, but you know this person is a unicorn. You want them to interview. You're negotiating these processes with them. You are a candidate advocate. Have you ever had a situation where you're in an interview briefing call after your interviewers have interviewed your candidate that you worked so hard to find, and then the interviewer wants to level that candidate a step lower than you expected? You find yourself advocating, because you know how far you went to land this candidate into the talent pool and into the talent pipeline. So you are a candidate advocate. You are a talent scout. You go out there to identify, you go out there to attract these candidates, right? You are a networker. You see, it's funny when I listen to some talent sources tell me, oh, I went into talent sourcing rather than core recruiting because I'm a quiet person. I like to stay at the back end. I don't like to be in the front. If you tell me that, then what you're telling me is, what that sounds to me is you just go about getting these candidates, stay on the top funnel, bring them in, and that's it. The same cycle. That doesn't sound very strategic to me. A talent sourcer is constantly networking. You're going into events, you're speaking to candidates, you go for diversity events, you go for, if you're in tech, you go for tech events, you go to different places, even online, you're constantly networking. That is a talent sourcer for you. We're networkers, we're storytellers, we're telling the story of our brand. We are diversity advocates. We are constantly telling our hiring managers, look, your team is populated with XYZ demographic, XYZ race. How about you diversify? We have XYZ candidate who is a person with disability. You are advocating for these people. You are a diversity advocate. It's important at this note to state here that when you describe a talent sourcer as somebody who identifies, attracts, and engages talents into the funnel for in order to meet your hiring demands, when you give that sort of explanation, it's sometimes some people don't understand the depth to it. They don't understand that those three words of identifying, attracting, and engaging is an entire umbrella of a lot of things. That is what makes us strategic. That is what makes talent sourcing a strategic role. I must tell you that what also makes talent sourcing a strategic role, or makes you a strategic talent sourcer, is your mindset of proactivity. So you're not just reactive in your process. You're constantly thinking, how am I building this talent pool? What am I doing? How am I thinking about what the market looks like? You're not saying, oh, right now the talent pool is little, there's nothing we can do. What steps are you taking? Oh, so many people in the talent pipeline are failing the interviews. All the women that I brought in diversity, they're failing the interviews. How are you thinking about the process? So we are very strategic in the way that we operate. We are creative thinkers. We are resilient. We're tenacious, because a lot of times you would agree with me, as a sourcer, you keep getting no, 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 no. Imagine sourcing 80 candidates, and out of the 80, 15 to 20 tell you no, and that's all that even responds to you. So we are tenacious people, we are very creative, and we're constantly thinking of ways to change the process at the end of the day. Now, how many people have encountered a situation where a hiring manager tells you, listen, I need you to hire a role for me. And then you ask them, okay, so they give you the briefing, and then you ask, so how soon do you want the role? And then they tell you, this is their response, as soon as yesterday. How many people have experienced this? Tell me in the chat box. Let me see. Yes? No's? Am I the only one? Yes or no? Let me see some responses in the chat box. Has your hiring manager done this to you? No one wants to answer me, so I'm alone in this. Okay, fantastic. All right. If you see a hiring manager, oh yes, fantastic, plus one. Yes, good, good, good. If you see a hiring manager who is telling you, I want to hire this candidate as soon as yesterday, tell them, yesterday is gone. Today is a new day. A strategic talent sourcer does not go with the I want to hire yesterday, because we are very strategic and we have processes on how we run things. Now, let me show you. I'm going to speak very quickly on some of the tips. I have 6 tips that I'm going to share with you on how to be a true strategic sourcer. You do need to move away from just being delivery oriented. You now need to be strategic. You need to understand the goals of the organization. You need to plug in your efforts to align with the goals of the organization to make maximum impact. The first tip, it's all in the foundation. You need to have a mental shift. You need to have a mental shift. If you have that mindset that, oh, as as a sourcer, all I'm expected to do, go into the market, get these candidates, put them in the top for now, and then I go back again, you're not helping matters. So you need to have that mental reorientation, that paradigm shift that, hey, I'm not just here to be a delivery sourcer alone. I'm here to be a strategic partner to the business. I'm here to be a strategic partner to my stakeholders. So you need to have that mental shift. That is the foundation, that is the base for every other tip I'm going to share with you. Imagine that somebody tells you today and says, hey, you are a king. And prior to somebody telling you that you're a king or giving you that revelation, perhaps you just leave your house, you don't put any effort into the way you dress, you slouch when you sit, not much of an effort. But then you just got that revelation that you're a king. It's going to appear, it's going to create a mental shift in your mind, right? You will see it from the way that you walk. You start to walk tall. Even the way that you dress, you want to change the way you dress. Maybe put on some makeup. You never know if you like makeup. But the point is, the entirety of your mind will change and it will reflect in your outward appearance. It will reflect in the way that you do things. That's the same about being a strategic sourcer. Once you have that mental shift of, hey, I'm not just going in as a foot soldier to just get talent and bring them, and that's all that is expected of me. When you see yourself as a strategic business partner to the company, to your hiring stakeholders, that is when true change will begin to happen. So, first things first, as a baseline, you must have a mental shift. The second tip I'm going to share with you is you must know the market and you must know the numbers. Let us make it practical. Now, what I do when I get a brief, a hiring manager needs to hire, and it's giving me the job description, I'm not just going to, I won't just go and start sourcing. No, I need to have a sense for what the talent market landscape looks like. I need to run my intelligence. You need to do your research. And I'm going to show you very quickly a bit on how I do this. I love LinkedIn Talent Insights so much. That is a tool that I leverage all the time. So let me take you to my LinkedIn Talent Insights. I hope everyone can see my screen. Please tell me if you can see my LinkedIn Talent Insight. Oh, I think you can. So that's a yes. Great. All right. So now I'm going to, I want to source, a hiring manager has given me a role and that he needs to fill. So I need somebody in the chat to give me any role, just any job title. Just give me a random job title. The first person that gives me, I'll work with that job title. Anybody? Come on, somebody give me a job title. Let's do this together. Let's do the research together. Let's see. Senior cloud architect. Okay. So let's do cloud architect. Let's see if it will give us senior cloud architect. Let's diversify it. It doesn't, but let's see if we can put it in. No, it doesn't. Maybe I can just add cloud consultant, right? Okay, somebody else should give me a location. I want a location, a country, just one country. Anybody, random country. Remember, we're doing this research together. India, good. So let's see, location, India. Now I put this. And I apply it. Let us see what the report will pull out for me. Now it tells me that within the India region, people that have the cloud, what was the title again? Let's have a look. Cloud architect and cloud consultant titles as their professions or in their career, there are 8,773 professionals in India. Now, this report is also going to show you the top locations in India that houses these talents. So now we see the top 5 locations: Greater Bengaluru area, etc., etc. If you go down, you see who is employing these talents, and you see these companies. You see Tata, you see Oracle, you see Accenture, etc. And not just that they are the ones hiring these talents. You see that these first 3 companies have seen some level of growth. They've been hiring in recent times or in the past 1 year, while IBM, you see, has a red marker showing they haven't made any growth for this job title recently. If you go down, you see what schools are producing this talent in India. You see these top schools, and you see for the talents who are suitable for these roles, you see the people, you see the educational degree that they have: computer science, computational science, etc. If you come to the right side, we see gender diversity markers. We see here that for this role of cloud architects, you would see that 80% of them are males, 20% of them are females. And then you see that for this role, on the top right corner, the hiring demand is very high. That means lots of people are trying to hire for this role, and the talent is very hard to hire. So now you have your landscape. This is your intelligence that you're going to present to your hiring manager. Now, you see the share button, you click on it, or your export button, you click on it, and it helps you to download this report, and you take it straight to your hiring manager. Now, let's go back to the deck. Once you've done your research, now we've done our research, we see the numbers, we know what the landscape looks like, right? You then need to present this research to the hiring team in doing a kickoff call or a strategy call or a briefing meeting, depending on what lingo you call it, right? Now, this is going to be a bonus tip I'm going to share right now. This bonus tip, you'll pay me later for it because I said I was going to share 6 tips. I'm giving you 6 and a bonus. Just joking. But yeah, I'm going to share this bonus tip. If as a sourcer within your company, your hiring managers give you a mandate to hire a role or source for a role, and you just go on a wild goose chase to just start to source, you don't call for a briefing call, you are doing yourself a disservice, and I'll tell you why. Because the job description is not sufficient enough. The job description you get only just shows you the job role and shows you the role requirements. But when you sit with the hiring manager and you have that discussion in a briefing call, no matter how short, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, you have that call, what you're going to be getting is valuable information about the team's construct, how the team is constructed within the team, the hiring manager's team, the kind of products or work or services that that team does. The hiring manager would go further to share with you some skills that they require of the person or the ideal candidate that may not have been stated on the job description. Take for example, the hiring manager is looking for somebody who maybe has, has some level of grit, somebody who can hit the ground running. They may not write that there on the job description, but when you speak to the hiring manager during a briefing call, they will give you better details on it. You can also, in that briefing call, set your realistic timelines based off of the research you have made. You can share with them your realistic diversity um, percentage that you can work with. Basically, you are able to communicate your hiring expectations and set those hiring expectations on that call because you have your research, you have your numbers, and you understand the markets. I'll give you a classic example, personal experience at work. I was working with a hiring manager who wanted to hire for a certain role within the Netherlands region. And on that call, in the briefing call, he had said, so Sophie, for this role, I'm looking for 50% gender diversity. And now it was okay for him to ask for 50% because he had just hired similar role in Belgium where they had made 50% diversity. Thankfully, I had done my market research. I knew my numbers. And in that market, in the Netherlands market for that role, gender diversity there was 11%. And this hiring manager was looking for 50%. Imagine I didn't have my research. I didn't do my research. I didn't know what the market landscape looked like. I didn't have my intelligence. I would have committed to 50% with him. And then when I start to go and identify these talents, attract these talents, I would struggle because truly I won't be able to meet up with the 50%. So you come as a strategic sourcer, you come empowered with the market knowledge, you come empowered with your numbers, and you speak those numbers in the call. That is how you can influence things and you can truly be a strategic sourcer in the business or with the business. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3, dissect the JD. I coined a term that I call BUD, BUD. Now, BUD means break down, understand, and digest. Now, typically, again, practically, when I get my job description, I then just look at it and say, okay, yes, we've been there, done that, we've done this for 9 years. Let's just run along and start to source. No, you need to dissect your JD. Now, how do I do this? I'm going to show you a sample. This is how I do mine. This is a typical example. The JD is on the left side for a TA technology specialist role, and this is my breakdown on the right hand side. Now I break down my JD into 2 forms. I do the must have, which is on the skills and requirements, and I do the nice to have. The must have are the non-negotiable skills and requirements, while the nice to have are, it's nice to have, but if they don't have it, it's fine. So when you get your mandate or you get the rec, of course, the rec mandate, you need to dissect your job description. Some people don't do it this way. They don't do the tabular form that I do it, but I like to visualize my things so that I don't forget. Some people just leave it on the JD and use color code. So you see on the JD, I color coded it. The ones on red are the must-haves, and the ones on yellow are the nice-to-have skills. So again, to my strategy call or to my briefing call, I come with remember our research of knowing the market and the numbers, and I also come with my dissected job description. And in that call, I'm showing the hiring manager, this is how I understand the job description. This is how I understand the profile. Is this good enough? What's your take on it? Some hiring managers will tell you, oh no, what you put as nice to have should be a must have. What you put as a must have can be a nice to have. So you can do like a switch. That way you are setting yourself up for failure. You are not just running on a wild goose chase again to the market. You know exactly what you're looking for. You're being strategic with your search because you've been able to dissect the JD to truly understand what is expected of you. In some cases, I like to do this during the kickoff call or the briefing call. Once I've aligned with the hiring manager, I go a step further by asking them, "Do you have a star performer on your team that is in this same role that you would like to share their maybe LinkedIn link with me just for me to see what their progression or their skills look like? Or can you link me with the person? Let me have a conversation with that person." That would really set you, miles apart or miles ahead rather when you're going into your search. If there is nobody on that team, it's fine. You can also ask the hiring manager, can you share with me an ideal candidate profile? Even if it's not within our company, somebody maybe within your network that you know. Share that ideal candidate profile with me. And then that would again set you 2, 3 steps ahead. That is you being strategic in your search. To the next one, tip number what number is this? Uh, I think it should be 4. Tip number 4: challenge, advise, and improve the process. As a strategic talent sourcer, this is not a time to start to tell your hiring manager or start to tell yourself, not hiring manager, sorry, start to tell yourself that, nah, 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 this is above my pay grade. No, being strategic is not above your pay grade. You need to be strategic. You need to challenge things. You need to be able to push back. You need to be able to advise the business. You need to be able to improve processes. Reason because you are the foot soldier. You are the one interacting with the talent on the ground. You know how the talent market is. You know what is happening. You're the one that the talent are speaking to directly. So when you hear things, you should be able to communicate this with the hiring team and change things. You should be able to speak up. You should be able to challenge biases, suggest improvements to the recruiting process. You know, at the end of the day, these candidates are your hard earned candidates. Have you ever had a case where it took you 3 to 4 months to land a role, or even way more? It has taken me 8 months once to land a hire for a very hard to fill role. Imagine such a person now, for some reason, you know, um, they drop off the process because some part of the process didn't make sense to them. I'll give you a classic example. So I was because the bulk of my work enables me to be focused around hiring engineering talents, and I do know that in some regions, the higher you go as an engineering talent, the lesser you'll be interested in taking coding tests. Those of us who are talent sources in engineering, we understand this. So at some point, we were giving senior software engineers and the more senior ones code tests. And I would find that when I send them this code test, they sleep on it. Nobody is responding back to me. I'm nudging until somebody, was able to tell me, no, I think I'm way advanced for this in my career. No, I won't be subjected to this. And I'm wondering in my mind, oh wow, could it be the same thought that these other people are having? No wonder I've been having a hard time. I had to start to call these candidates one by one, and almost all of them expressed the same thoughts. Now, what I did, I had to go back to the hiring team to say, look, let us put a bit of a tweak in our process. Why don't we do face to face technical interviews, maybe like a 30 minutes, 45 minutes, to just assess their technical skills before we move on to the main interviews? And after I had to put in a word, showed my data, of course, you can't just come out, narrative essay style. My candidate said XYZ, XYZ, now change the process. No, you need to come with your data. How many candidates did you send the code test to or your test to? How many of them refused to take the test? How many of them gave you this feedback? So you come with your data, you make that case, and you will see some changes. That is you being strategic. Remember, you're an ambassador to your brand. You're an ambassador to the company. If candidates outside see something wrong with the process or see something wrong with you, They wouldn't go outside and say, Sophie did this. It's the name of your company that they will call. They won't call your name. So you need to try as much as possible to be strategic, change processes, challenge the status quo, advise your stakeholders, your hiring stakeholders, because you are all in it together. You don't want a funny process or a funny situation to ruin your entire hard work. Challenge, advise, and improve the process. Now, you need to be proactive, build talent pools. I'm sure a lot of us are aware of what's been happening within the talent acquisition space from the last half of last year up until this present time, where we have so many companies laying off talent experts, recruiters, sourcers, people operations, and a couple of other roles. But of course, we know that the recruiting TA sourcing function has been badly hit in recent months. For those who have not been hit, or you're probably not hiring in your company because of one problem or the other, freezes and all that, this is not the time to say, oh, okay, so no roles now, let's just, Netflix and chill. No, you need to be proactive. Start to build talent pools. A good way to do it is start to have conversations with your hiring managers, at least the ones that hire frequently, or start to have conversations with your HR, because to some degree they would have a sense for, what the hiring demands may look like when things become normalized. Have those conversations, speak to your hiring managers. What roles do you think you'll be looking to fill when things normalize? What roles do you think are currently on your team but are attrition risks? So start to speak from a succession planning perspective. The reason is because by the time things normalize, the hiring manager or the HR is going to come back to you, give you roles, and then when you ask them how soon do you want me to source for these roles, their response to you will be as soon as yesterday, and you don't want that. So as a strategic sourcer, proactivity is ingrained in your DNA, so you need to be proactive. Think about it. How often do we hire XYZ roles? Start to build your talent pools. By building talent pools, you're just sourcing around for these talents within wherever, whatever platform you source your candidates from. Building talent pool doesn't mean that you need to necessarily start to reach out to these candidates. I mean, if you want to reach out to them and you don't have a job offer for them, that's on you. But I would advise build your talent pools, look through the market, start to build. If you know that in your company, you're very heavy around hiring nurses and medical staff, but you're not hiring now, start to build that pool. Build that pool. So that when things hit, when things get better, is what I mean, nobody's putting you under pressure. You already tell them, okay, you're entering that briefing call and you're saying, so right now we have I have a talent pool of let's say nurses and medical practitioners. I have over 1,400 of them within the Louisiana region in US. The hiring manager is looking at you like, oh wow, because you were strategic enough and you were able to be proactive to build these talent pools ahead. And the best part, you also help other people within the TA chain of the end-to-end process. You help the recruiters, their work gets easier because they are already candidates they can leverage for interviews. You help the coordinating team. It's going to be a party. So be proactive, build talent pools, because it will help with your hiring strategy. Also, from the oh, okay, great. Also, next tip would be to up your recruitment marketing game. Remember when I showed you the different octopus hands and the different hats that the talent sourcer wears? One of them is sales. Sales, recruitment, marketing. You need to up your recruitment game. As a talent sourcer, as a strategic talent sourcer, you are a storyteller. You don't just send out an outreach message. Hello, we're looking to hire for this role. Are you interested? Send me your CV. No. What is different? What makes you different from company B, company C that is hiring that same talent from the same market, from the same small pool? So you need to start with a story. Talk about a very fantastic story of what your company is doing. If you cannot talk too much, one line would do. Send a link. Send a link of the good stuff you're doing. Blog posts, different things that would attract your these candidates or your talents. You know, in your outreach messages, try as much as possible to personalize them. I used to be guilty of this thing, in my career. I want to, because I've always done volume based hiring, skill hiring, and you tell me to hire 100 people within a certain, period of time. And then I just go 100 candidates, boom, the same outreach message, and I'm getting staggered feedback. But when I decided to tweak my messaging, I became a little more strategic with how I was doing it. What I did was, of course, I had the same templates, but then for each person, once I put in the template, all I needed to do was to just remove one line and then look in your profile, scan through your profile properly, and pick one or two things in your profile that looks good. And then I would talk about it and I would say, hey, I see your experience in XYZ place, very impressive, or XYZ, XYZ. I see you've done this, I see you've done that. Maybe one or two things that you've noticed. What would happen is the candidates will know that you are not just mass mailing them, they will know that you took their time, your time rather, to actually, reach out to them and look through their profile. And to some degree, it would increase your it would increase your response rates. People love being complimented. People love it. So on the storytelling bit, that's your recruitment marketing, increase it, do a lot of storytelling, sell yourself on social media, on LinkedIn. Some It baffles me when I see sourcers and recruiters, even when you just say, I'm just going to do my job and go home. LinkedIn is such a powerful tool where you can actually have your voice heard. Use it. The beauty about it is when you're putting content out there, people are noticing you. Your proposed candidates are noticing you, and by the time you want to start to reach out to these people, it makes your job easier. It makes your job easier when you've been able to, build that rapport. You've been able to tell the story about your company. You're really, really out there. Your personal brand is out there. And finally, oh yes, I spoke about it. Be externally visible. It's all in the same brackets. Be out there, tell the story, etc. And finally, I would leave you with something that is very important as a strategic sourcer. It's important that you share your intelligence across, because you are in the market, you are the center of attraction. You are the center to other talent experts like recruiters, people operations, people coordinators. You are the center of for HR. You are in the middle because you're cross collaborating with all these other stakeholders, right? You know the market, you know what is happening. You can tell HR when competitors are paying better than you and candidates are declining your offers because you're not competitive enough. You can influence things, influence decisions. Remember when I said make impact? You can make that impact. You can't make impact when you don't share your intelligence. Share it with HR. This is what is happening. This is what I propose should be a way to solve this. You're telling marketing this is the way other brands are being perceived. This is what other brands are doing. There's a diversity event that XYZ company that is our competitor is doing. Let us do something similar. This is how other people are doing this. You're communicating to the hiring managers. Some candidates are stubborn. Maybe not well, yes, stubborn, actually, that's the word. They know they want the job, but to some degree they just feel like, no, let me just stress them, let them think that I'm very valuable. We know that you are valuable, you don't need to stress us, right? So you pretty much can take that conversation to the hiring manager and say, hey, how can we, do you think you want to have a virtual coffee chat with this candidate, to help things. You don't keep intelligence, don't keep information within you. Once you have it, because you work on the ground, you share it amongst the cross collaborated functions that are your stakeholders. That is how you make impact. That is how you make strategic impact within the business. I think that will be all. This is my LinkedIn. I would really like everyone on the call to follow me on LinkedIn. Add me. I'm happy to connect with you. But when you're adding me, please tell me, what is it you're doing? How are you strategic? Are you struggling with being a strategic source? And let us talk about it and let's see how we can help one another. At the end of the day, we're trying to move away from just being delivery sources to being strategic to the business. That is how you create business impact. That is how people stop seeing you as you're at the bottom of the recruiting chain or recruiting funnel, or you're just entry level. You are strategic, you are delivering, and you're making massive business impacts. I hope this session has been helpful. Dima, I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sophie, for your amazing presentation. It
Thank
was
you.
super insightful, and I really liked these tips and extra one about strategic sourcer, how it should be and what we should do. It's very good. So I think people can ask you a couple of questions, and it is some time like for 20-30 seconds. So while they are writing in chat, let's see if we have the questions. Yeah, let's just double check. Yeah, you can write questions to Sophie. Maybe like in the meantime, you can share about the session. Yeah, we already got some feedback that it was very helpful and people really need this. How you train this approach in your team? So I know in Microsoft there are so many sources, and how you spread this wisdom and add structure to the whole team in different regions, countries, and so on. So all people, all sources work like that and use basically your must known tips.
Okay, that's a valuable question. I think first things first, we hire the best. We hire the best people. Aside hiring the best people, we also hire people with very strong growth mindsets. So we always say, we're not looking for know-it-alls. We're looking for learn-it-alls. So the moment you're flexible enough to learn, you're good. Now, once you come in, we have a very robust onboarding session, that really teach you pretty much like readiness sessions, teach you what the modus operandi of how we operate is. Then we have body systems, so you would definitely be tagged with a body who would literally handhold you and show you how it is done. Then, from a managerial perspective, our managers are spot on. So you are literally not working as a silo. Your manager is, checking what you are doing, not like they're micromanaging you, but they're literally ensuring that you are not stuck. Then also, I can speak from my perspective because I do a lot of volume-based, sourcing and hiring. From a volume perspective, you would barely find one sourcer on a large project. So you would find maybe two, three, four, five, on that large project. So imagine you're looking to hire 100 or 150 roles. You can't just be one
Yeah.
sourcer. So once people are working together, and I think that's the beauty about collaboration and efforts, you rub off on each other. This one is helping, person B is helping, you're learning, and you're asking questions. It's very important. Ask questions if you're stuck. Um, Ask questions, and that's how we actually are able to scale across region to ensure that our sourcing processes and our sourcing procedures are aligned globally.
Yeah, I think that's very cool, and I was like listening to one breeze the session, and thank you for those insights as well. I see in chat Anna also have a question. Maybe we can highlight it. How
Yeah.
would you recommend preparing talent mapping for hiring managers without LinkedIn insights for people who have other LinkedIn plans?
I see. I think you will need to be creative. And Anna, that's the beauty about sourcing. Ever since I became a core sourcer, I realized that nothing is there's no what's the word? There is no wrong way to do things as a sourcer. You just need to keep on playing around with different things. So thankfully, there is ChatGPT. You can use ChatGPT to get some of your responses, some of the information you need. You can go on LinkedIn. So case in point, I remember when I was looking to hire in Israel, and I really needed to know the top security companies aside what LinkedIn Talent Insight was giving to me. I had to Google it. I saw lots and lots of links, ask deliberate questions with Google. Then also, if you're not getting enough information, that's where your networking prowess needs to come in. You need to network. Check out people who are doing the same hiring within the same region as you. Join Facebook groups, join LinkedIn communities, put up your request. Hello, I see these things a lot in some of the groups I'm in. Hello, I'm new into sourcing in, let's say, Russia. What is the market like? Anybody with any insights, I'm happy to help. Network. You see people with volunteer information, especially people who have been in that market for a long time. And from there, you can start to build up your information. So play around with it. Don't limit yourself to just LinkedIn Talent Insight because I said I use LinkedIn Talent Insights. I mean, I love LinkedIn. It's very convenient, but if you don't have access because maybe it's too expensive, play around with Google, Chat GPT, speak to recruiters, sources, check everywhere. People are always happy to help. Join communities, join Facebook groups. Very helpful, I must say. I hope that helps, Anna.
Yeah, I think it helps. The only things that probably not look for that market because it's you know, as you gave example, better to search for other one. Yeah, I think, and also we have a couple of more questions from Uliana. What things? Yeah, can you highlight? Oh yeah, we have a lot of questions from Uliana. What things did you do wrong? Like maybe example at the beginning of your career and how you like. It sounds like interview question. Yeah.
Many. Uliana, many mistakes. Number one, I was never data centric. I would never monitor my data. I was never measuring. In fact, I started my career as an HR trainee consultant because I really wanted to be an HR consultant. And then imagine clients, asking you to deliver talent, and I'm going back to tell them, oh, sorry, we don't have talent because there are no talents in the market. Sophie, really? There are no talents in the market? I was just not, I was not monitoring the data. I wasn't using tools. I mean, it was just, I was just, relying on, inbounds. I put up the jobs on job boards. And if people don't apply, I just sit back and tell the hiring team, there are no people in the markets. I can't skill myself, basically. So a lot of those things, that's kind of how I was wrong. No data. I wasn't also influencing with data. Again, to data, I wasn't able to push back when a hiring manager says, I want this role like tomorrow. You would see me running helter skelter. I would not sleep at night because I want to fulfill that demand. Whereas I was just, putting myself under pressure. So I wasn't data centric. I was just, leaning on what outbound would give to me. I was just not strategic, is what I mean. But I know better now. Thank you for making me do that throwback into my career.
Yeah, yeah. And also, another question, any advice for people starting their career in recruitment in the times of massive layoffs? Very philosophical one
It is. I would say for
from
starters,
Tana. Yeah.
I would say number one, there may be massive layoffs, but trust me, people are still hiring. Number two, I would say be a little flexible with your expectations. I've seen some people that would say it is tech or nothing. I must work in tech. But guess what? The tech industry has seen a lot of layoffs. Whereas some industries like the not for profits, maybe advertising, need people like you in their companies. But because you are too blinded by only one industry, you are not going to see it. So be flexible. And finally, I would say immerse yourself with so much learnings. Immerse yourself in so much learning. LinkedIn has a lot of learnings. There's so many free learning tools out there. Udemy, Coursera, Pluralsight, so many of them. Immerse yourself because now that times are a little shaky, by the time things pick up, what is going to happen is a lot of people that have been impacted by the massive layoffs, they already have an upper hand because they already come with that level of experience. So you need to ask yourself, what else do I bring to the table? You can't compete with those people. They have that experience, right? But you, with your little learning, can make some bit of a change, or you can stand out in some way. So know that even when there's massive layoffs, people are still hiring. Number two, be flexible with what you're looking for. Be open minded. And number three, this is the time to learn. Upskill.
Cool. Cool. Thank you very much. Two more questions and we are wrapping up. So from Alicia, she asking you, like, I think finding people for Microsoft may be a little bit easier than smaller companies. How do you see it? How do we convince specialists to work for us, for company, when we are small company? Any tips?
So you know the truth of the matter, and this is unpopular opinion, but it's what I've noticed, and I would say it. Oftentimes, when people come from big tech and for some reason, I don't know, layoffs or they leave, you would find that quite a number of them still, they no longer yearn for big tech, especially those who, or bigger companies, not just say big tech, bigger companies, especially those who have stayed in those big companies for a long time. you find that when you come with your small, with you're a small company, and then you come and approach them, they would give you a listening ear. Does it happen all the time? No, but it does happen. I don't know how best I can answer that question, but
Yeah,
just
I think it gives
yeah.
answer. Thank you very much. And the final one, very final one, from Temi. The
Mhm.
technical hires, for technical hires, do you consider code test to be fully reliable for tech candidates? For a candidate who didn't make the cutoff, but you believe deserve a chance to be screened next, how you convince the hiring manager? Okay, it's about,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. First and foremost on code tests, it's a two-way street. I like code tests because it strongly eliminates bias. So whoever it is that is, you're not in front of an interviewer who's asking you questions, and in their minds they're like, this candidate, I don't like the way their hair looks. I would fail them. It eliminates bias, right? That's the beauty about code tests. Now, I would also say that if a candidate, you think that they have a chance, and the hiring manager says no because maybe they didn't meet up with the cutoff, make a case. Make a case for them. Ask the hiring manager to review the code. So look beyond the cutoff and review the code, because there are some times when the code will make a lot of sense. You'll be able to have an understanding on the logic of that code written, although they just didn't meet the cutoff. So go that step further and say, hey, would you be able to review the code? Perhaps that would make for something. It has happened several times in my line of work. We didn't meet up with the cutoff. The code was reviewed back end. The hiring manager felt the syntax wasn't too bad. Let's just maybe just give them a chance. And then you can also say, okay, you know what? Even if we don't put this candidate into the main interview, would you want to have maybe like just a 20 minutes chat, like a virtual coffee chat with the person to just assess? Because truth is, the talent pool for tech is getting smaller every day globally. You don't want to lose out on great talents because of a cutoff mark. I hope that helps, Timmy.
Yeah, I think it was helpful for all of our listeners. Thank you once again, Sophie, for your answers and presentations
You're
and
welcome.
wisdom. Looking forward to see you in our next events. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Thanks,
Bye
Dima.
bye. Yeah, next week we have an exciting session with Hayo Jardim, who will share with you his journey of building powerhouse sourcing team with one of the fastest growing tech consulting firms in Latin America. So yeah, it will be a great session. And for now, that's it. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and it will be much more useful content for you. And see you next week.